All right, so let's talk about a couple things before we get started. So first thing I want to talk about are the papers that you guys picked up today, because I have gotten the vibe that I just didn't say this enough apparently. But after today, you will not see me for 12 days because I'm on vacation all of next week. So I will not be here for the 3B days next week. Miss Miss Brindley, who is the old community of caring teacher, she will be your sub for Tuesday and Thursday. And then on Friday, the teacher who he hasn't subbed for you, but he did sub my A-Day. He's actually wanting to be a future teacher. He got a degree, was a stay-at-home dad for 5 years, and now he's trying to decide if he wants to go back. So he is actually wanting to do a little bit of a special thing for you guys where he creates a lesson and tries to teach you guys because he really wants to see if this is for him. So my request would be next Friday to just make sure that you're nice to him. He subbed my geography kids and they did not make him want to be a teacher. So whenever he is here next Friday, please be super nice to him. Maxim. No, these year's 9th graders are a whole new ball game compared to the ones last year. Okay? All right, so just be aware. So here's what you need to know about your papers. You picked up, listen, 2 papers today. These 2 papers are the notes that you need next week. If you lose those notes, and if you haven't figured it out by now, your class is always the one that has the least amount of notes. Because every single time I make 40 extras, and usually by the time we get to 4th period, everybody else has taken all of them. And so because of that, it becomes really hard and we don't have enough notes for everybody. So please stop losing your notes. I had some kids tell me they didn't know bringing notes was required each day to class. Now you know, okay? Please bring your notes. Stop getting 4 copies of the same one because you keep leaving it at home. So you will learn imperialism over the next 2 days. And hi.
Are they working on something independently, or are you going to be doing lecture stuff?
Independently in a couple minutes.
Cool. Can I have 2 kids come in here and take 5 minutes to finish something while you're?
Yes. It just might be talky.
That's
okay, I'll come get him.
Have to deal with it.
I'll come get him.
Okay, cool.
Okay. All right. Anyways, so just be aware. Don't lose your notes. I'm going to be gone. It's just going to be lectures, plus whatever he's going to do next Friday, which I'm pretty sure is on World War I, but I have to go record the lectures tomorrow. Okay. All right. So today we are doing 2 things. The first thing we're going to do is the DBQ. We're going to finish up our group work for that. And the second thing is we're going to go over our midterm today. So we will do that. I have 2 more I need to grade, and then we will do it at the end of class. So if you will, oh, and by the way, if your partners are gone, because I know we have 9 people missing, you can join a new group. I would prefer if you join a new group. And the reason why, okay, listen, I prefer you to join a new group because that allows you to still be able to work with other people. Number 2, when you are in these groups, you may have somebody who's absent. My hope is that absent student who was personally sent exactly what to do, walk through everything, did what they were supposed to do. If not, and you were absent last class, your life is going to be really hard today. And I had somebody in 2nd period that said, oh, I'll scrape by. The DBQ is worth 35% of your grade. So make sure you're making that stuff up. And on that note, let's get into groups. So if you will go ahead and move, be with your groups. Quickly get into your groups. Okay, bringing it back together. Okay, so here's what you're going to do. Now, I know it's been a week since I've seen you, that every single day you guys have gone over your DBQ. You have been reworking that first paragraph. You've had dreams about the DBQ. And although I'm sure that's what everybody did, maybe one or two of you did not. So let's take about 3 minutes and let's review what we did last class. So your task is going to be the following. You're going to look over the documents, reacquaint yourself with the documents, look over your chart, reacquaint yourself with the chart, and then double check your paragraph. This paragraph right here is what you should have written. So take a couple of minutes, see if you still think that it's a really good paragraph. If you didn't finish it, finish that paragraph. Reacquaint yourself. Go ahead, take about 5 minutes. Ready, set, go.
Yeah, it's really cool.
These two spots right there. Okay, once you are done, one member of your group is going to take their way over to Pear Deck so that we can be able to analyze your first paragraphs.
Are we serious?
Again, each group, one person is going to sign up.
I wish I was still
Again, we're missing groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the prompt on the board. You're going to go ahead and you are going to, and again, you can see I got you a little hint up here of what it should look like. But if you will go ahead and copy and paste over into Pear Deck, and then we're going to go ahead and analyze it together. Go ahead and copy and paste it over. We're missing one group. Okay. All right, listen up. Okay, so remember, hey, listen, since it's been a while since we have done Pear Deck together, remember that Pear Deck allows me to be able to analyze your work anonymously. Now, when I go to give my feedback, you are going to get 0, 1, or 2 points. You should want 2 points. 1 point means, did you give me context? So that's the prior to, did you give a specific term? Did you explain it? The number one mistake, that I'd say 80% of people are making is you must have a connecting sentence. The connecting sentence must talk about the progressive era and political change. The second point is the thesis point. Thesis must have language of the question. It must have specific piece of evidence. It must say high extent, low extent, etc. in order to get the point. Now, as a reminder, the purpose of this activity is not to make you feel bad, okay? I don't want you to leave this feeling like I have bullied you. Yesterday, we had one where, I'm just going to be honest, it was probably one of the worst paragraphs I've ever read in this. It was, and in there, just to be clear, to defend myself, that was their second attempt at the same paragraph. So I mentioned this because I was talking to some students afterwards, and they were like, you're only saying this because you don't like me. That's not one, I don't even know who you are, okay? But two, I want you to get better. When we get some of these midterm results back, you're going to see what I mean. We're at the point where you might be here, and we need you here, and we need to get you to the spot where you're going to be, okay? So I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I just want to help you. I promise, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and let's see. So again, your goal is to, as a quick reminder, okay, real quick, if this is yours, will you do me a favor and delete this? Because you don't need that. I'm going to unlock your screens really quickly, just so you can fix that formatting for me really quickly. Oh, I forgot to mention one other thing. As we do this activity, listen, I'll wait for you. As we do this activity, remember that your goal is to be paying attention to the activity, which means if I give you feedback, I don't mind if you go and fix the feedback just quietly while I'm talking. Don't be going off like right now, coloring on your page somehow. Or for example, we've had people doing homework or Canva. The worst one was this morning, some students, which I just pulled up Land School in the middle of talking, and normally it's a glance and I move on. But one group, all 4 of them decided to play a prank, and it was a picture of LeBron James and Diddy kissing on their computers, and that's all I saw were these huge pictures of it. That's probably not what we're doing right now, so let's just make sure we're paying attention, okay? All right. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Oh, now it's at the end. We got to go up to the top. Okay. All right, listen, make sure you're watching to see if it's yours. This one most likely is going to get it if you fix literally one thing. This led to many people demanding change in politics or demanding political change in the progressive era. Then you get 2 points. Remember, you have to address political change in your transition sentence. So make sure you go ahead and change that. So most likely 2, small change, do political. Let's see. This one's pretty. I like this one. So it's good. 2 points. It's just different. Whenever I see different, well, anonymous group had a pretty one. Let's see. If this one, so again, reform, I would say meaning massive reform of industry, you've changed the question now. So change industry to politics. You probably don't even need this first part. But I would also say massive reform of politics was required, thus the progressive era began, and then heading into it. 1 point for thesis, really close on this, just need to fix your transition sentences. Let's see. Okay, do me a favor, class. So every time I do this, make sure everybody participates. I want you to go ahead and look on the board and read this example. And I want you to specifically look at context. Think whether they did or did not get the point and why you feel that way. Also thesis, but I'm more worried about context. Now, if you have ever gotten feedback that says this is evidence, not context, notice that they have this. Where can you find all those topics, class? In your document, so they can't be context. This isn't referring to stuff before the document. This is referring to the documents. Really, right now, your context are those words. Like, that's it. So need to fix that. The reason I said thesis is if you guys remember, College Board says you must have a concise, argumentative statement. This right here, if you guys remember, I said maximum 4 categories, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you did 1 for each of the documents. Probably you'll get away with it, but be really careful about getting too long, because a picky reader, especially, I don't know if you guys know this, but 15% of all APUSH readers are English professors. You don't want an English professor as your reader. They are harsh, okay? So again, I would be careful about having that. But again, you need to fix this, so 0 points there. Probably 1 point with a nice reader down here. Again, if this is yours, I would, hey, listen, guys, if this is yours, I would reference politics in here somewhere, and then you'll get 2 points. So small change. Again, I would have added political. Oh, wait. You see, you did social and political. Just delete the social. You don't need it. It's not part of the question. Then you'll get 2 points. Delete the word social and. Then it, makes sense. This group probably did double what they needed to with context, but it's different. One thing I do want to point out really quick, though, is this word moderate. So if you notice in this thesis, there's nothing wrong with the thesis, but it does say the word moderate and low. Just as a reminder, if you say moderate or low in your thesis and in your paragraphs, you have to defend it with your life. And what's happening is that people aren't able to do that. Because if you say moderate extent, you have to argue it is both yes, a change, and not a change. So just be aware that if you're going to go that route, which you can, there's a very good likelihood that you're not going to defend the word moderate very well. Low is easier, moderate is harder. So just remember that, especially when you say creation of new laws. I'm assuming you included Doc 7, and Doc 7 is not a moderate extent. It literally was banned nationwide in 1920. But we'll do that after World War I, because you don't understand why we ban it until we do World War I. So again, gets it, but be aware of that if that's your group. Again, there it is, politics. That's not bad. Again, this one's medium. This one's getting a little bit wordy. More than likely gets it. It's just getting a little long there. I would say 2 points. This one does not have a transition sentence, so make sure you have a transition sentence. That's what you're missing here. Okay, everybody look up on the board and look at this one. Everybody look on the board. Some of you are looking at your computer. Now, thesis is fine, but I want you to look at the context. If I have ever put in your writing too vague, this is what I'm talking about. And this is so much of your writing, even on the midterm when you get it back, is this type of writing. There's no specifics. If I delete this, I could take this section right here, except for trust. I'll just end it right there. If you read that, that could literally be right now. Like, you could argue right now that this is applying to people. So that's the problem. You have to be specific. So if this is yours, you need a massive overhaul. But here's another thing I want to point out. Watch me as I scroll. Okay, ready? Watch my scroll. Everybody should be looking at the scroll. Option 1, option 2, option 3. Do you notice a difference? All of a sudden, it's like, that's an easy way to tell if you're not going to get the points. It's probably the easiest way to tell. You might still get it, but probably not. Okay, so I would say that's overall better than most of my other classes. We're like a notch above most of the other classes. But we do still have a couple things to fix. So I'm going to give you about 1 to 2 minutes. Work with your group, fix your problems, connecting sentences, and then we'll move on to the next step. So go ahead, fix your problems. Should be fixing your problems. All right, Kate, coming back together. All right, so listen. On the DBQ rubric, there are 7 points in the DBQ rubric. We have just learned the first 2, and the average score on a DBQ is a 2. So if you can get just your opening paragraph, well, again, that's the nationwide average, but my average is higher. We'll talk about that later. The thing is that you at least got 2 points, okay? Now, on the real exam, you will not have a pretty outline like this. However, we are going to use this today as a way to be able to kind of show you what you need to do. Now, down here where it says evidence category 1, here's what you're going to do. You're going to look at your thesis and make your categories. So if I'm going to say this is political machines, I change the blank to political machines, and then, oops, I pressed the print button. Okay. Then I change the documents to 1 and 4. Or if I go to the next section and I say temperance, then I do document 7. Sorry, guys. They updated our computers, so if I press the print button, it doesn't know how to function. Okay, there we go. Let's try that again. Okay. So again, if I do it like this is just helping me to organize my essay. Now, one thing about this is you may not need all of these blanks. So if you only have 2 categories, you can delete this category. Or if you have 0 continuities, you have 0 low extent, then you can just delete these. You just need to make it to your own because everybody's S's are different. So take about 1 minute and go ahead and add your categories to your blanks. What? Yeah, or you can do them all high, you can do them all low, you can do a mixture, it's up to you. You should almost be finishing.
So we're using document 4. I know, that's what happens. So your goal is to reduce the
What?
Use the same document in 2 paragraphs, 2 evidences.
Like you're saying it's high and then you're saying it's low?
No, because it's a law, new law. But
I think you're going to waste time. You don't get any bonus points for using documents multiple times. I'll talk about that in a second. Okay, all right. Coming back together. Now, we had a question that I think may benefit you. So the question was, can I or should I use a document multiple times in an essay? So I'm going to say that temperance could be its own paragraph, but I could also say temperance prohibition is a new law, therefore in 2 spots. I mean, you can if you didn't have an hour. You have 1 hour to write this essay. 15 minutes of it is reading the documents. More than likely, you will run out of time and space, and you do not receive bonus points for using a document multiple times. So I would just talk about a document once. If you're going to say it's high and low extent, just put it in moderate extent, but talk about it once. Okay? All right, now, as a group, you are going to talk today about one document of your choice, only one document. Now, your document cannot be documents 4 or 6, which I purposely chose because those should be document 5 and document 6. Most likely you wouldn't have chosen them anyways, but those are the ones I'm doing as my sample assignments. Now, listen. Now, other than documents 5 and 6, I would pick the document you are 1000% like this is my strongest, but also if you are in a category, so you're doing documents 1 and 4, you can still choose 4 for right now, so don't think, oh, it's in a group, I can't use it. So talk about it as a group. Which document are you going to do? Cannot do documents 5 or document 6. Okay, come back together. Okay, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to write our opening paragraph, like body evidence paragraph, our first one. Or if it's like down on 2 or 3, then you can, go wherever. Now, if you notice, A, B, and C are identical to an LEQ. There is absolutely no difference whatsoever that shows me that this is any different. It's just an LEQ. That's why we learn LEQs first. The difference comes in D and E. So the rubric says that you must relate or use documents in your answer. So now you're going to use as part of your answer the documents to support your claims. So here's how it's going to look. So I have this broken down, A, B, C, D, E, F. We are only doing through E. Do not do past E. E, by the way, is just saying the doc. Doc 6, doc 1, doc 4, doc whatever. The reason you add that is because as a reader, if I'm searching your essay for a document, this pops out on the page at me. And if I'm searching for that last document to get to a point, and if I can't find it, I can't find it. So adding this will help. So here's what it's going to look like. So I have my topic sentence. That's A. Again, everybody right now should be looking on the board because these are my samples. So I have A, criminal justice reform. One example is Taylorism. Now notice I used a term. If you haven't already, flip your packet to the chart. Did you have terms? Did you have things to support your claims? Add that in. But here's the problem. Every single time that people go to add a term, they never define it a lot of the time. So if I ever put you didn't explain it, you have to tell me. So for example, if you're going to say trust busting, what is a trust? What is trust busting? If I'm going to say Taylorism, what is Taylorism? Tell me about it. So B is that. C is your transition sentence, but notice on C and D, I also refer to the document. So notice I say that police departments are going to be improved through Taylorism. This is shown in the document where they use Taylorism to improve their workforce, and then document 6. Now, in the end, it's going to look something like this nice, big, hefty paragraph that answers the question. That is what your job is. Common mistakes. Use terms. Make sure you use terms. It supports your claims. Make sure you define your terms. Don't assume that the reader knows what a trust is. Tell me what a trust is, and then make sure you use the document, and most important, no quotes. We are taught on the exam that the minute a quotation mark is added to the page, we skip anything you have written inside of it. No quotes. Tell me the answer. This happened on the midterm. Tons of people use quotes. No quotes. Okay, you have about 6-7 minutes. Go ahead and work with your group. Make your paragraph. What? Yeah, but we're not worrying about that right now. Right now we're worrying about what? You're choosing one. Whichever one you want to do. You want to do one? You want to do four? Doesn't matter. You just pick one of those two. You're only doing one document right now.
Let's just do document one.
This is right.
What?
This is the name of the document. We say like.
You can, you could just say Theodore Roosevelt's speech. You could just say in Jane Addams' document, whatever. You don't have to directly name it, or some people say in document.
System where a single person can influence the government.
So do you like introduce how this
Hold on.
You more than likely are about halfway done. Five or six. Which almost no. Wait, you haven't even started yet?
No, yeah, we're just changing.
I changed it real fast.
I think that's it. We can just copy and paste this and change be 17.
You guys make it before, not what?
Okay, you should take about 3 more minutes or less. Once you are done, you're going to copy and paste your full paragraph into Pear Deck.
Your intentions are really right.
Okay, we should be heading soon to be finished.
It's still fun. Because you say there are sheets we've passed all these laws. We've passed all these laws.
Okay, we should be transferring them over. Okay, we should be submitting right now. Okay, we're missing 4 people. If you want feedback, you better get it to me. If you're not done, you better hurry faster. All right, we're about to analyze. 2 people left. Okay, hurry quick. Okay, so listen. So, while we analyze, a couple of things to keep in mind. Your goal is to receive 2 points. The first point would give you letters A and B. So did you give an example? Did you have it specific? Did you define it? C and D and E are all related to the second point, which is the analysis point. Did you really prove to me the answer to this question? So again, our ultimate goal, last group, better hurry. I don't know who it is. Okay. But the ultimate goal again is to hopefully be able to get your 2 points. Okay. By the way, quick reminder, smartwatches are still against the rules if you're using it to text. Okay. All right. Okay. We're going to go over, listen. Oh, I forgot to remind you. When I do this, there is a mystery third point. If I see it in yours, or you're probably not going to get it, but I want you to be aware of it, I'm going to tell you what that mystery thing is, and if you will just highlight it in your thing, that will help you later. So this one's mystery third point is the Sherman Antitrust Act. If you will just do a little highlight for me. But again, this gets 2 points. Good job. Oh, okay. Remember, this is supposed to be a paragraph, not A, B, C, D, E. So if you can go ahead and adjust that. Even without that right now, 1, why do you have quotes? Get rid of that. But 2, this is way vague. So again, if you will do me a quick favor, everybody, go look at B and C for me. Again, if you will look on the board really quick and look at B and C. Again, when I say too vague, this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Taylorism only has like 1 term, but I used it in my writing. In this case, this is too vague, only receives 1 point. Give me examples. Give me specifics. This one more than likely is on its way to a 2. You added trust busting. You added muckrakers. You didn't tell me what muckrakers are. But then also, okay, wait, hold on. Ooh, okay. All right, real quick. I need you to read this one real fast. Start here, and then go to here for me. So read that. So again, everybody should be reading the one up on the board. Does anybody notice the problem with the document here? Which document are they referencing? Document 2, but what document are they actually talking about? Document 1. So they have mixed documents 1 and 2 together. Document 2 is trust busting. It is not political machines. We've had a lot of people think that trust busting means political machines. It means the trust in monopolies. So if this is yours, this needs a full rewrite, 0 points. This is where I would put down historically inaccurate. Okay, real quick. Look up on the board and watch my scroll. Okay, watch my scroll. Option 1. Option 2. Do you notice immediately the length issue, right? Again, an easy way to figure out if it's not going to put the points is your lengths. Although it looks like they didn't finish because it says first, like restroom at the end. This is, I would argue this gets 0 points. 1, you say that they put their control together in trustees, but you didn't actually say the word trust. You have no specifics. I think this is a 0 pointer. Doesn't really have hardly any specifics. Maybe a 1 if your reader is super generous. Maybe. But they're probably not. I wouldn't be. Okay, real quick. If this is yours, all of this is going to be a HIP analysis. You do not need it right now. So this is yours. Save this for right now because you will need this later. Oh, I forgot to do secret ones. If this is yours, 18th Amendment would be your secret thing. However, I don't love the 18th Amendment because we haven't learned it yet because we need to learn about World War I first, timeline-wise, because this is because of World War I. So 18th Amendment works here. This one needs a full rewrite, so it doesn't count. This one needs a full rewrite, doesn't count. This one didn't have anything secret. This was too vague. Too vague. We have a lot of vagueness. We were doing so good. Okay. Okay, so 1, use link to the question on your transition sentence. 2, you say a lot of words, but most of your words is just temperance over and over and over again. You add anti-saloon league, but that's not really contributing to the argument because that's in the document. So I would try to find another term that you can use that's not just temperance. I would say 1. No specials on that. This one, your secret word is secret ballots. This one gets to, whoa, you didn't finish. Finish your sentence and make sure to add doc 1 at the end. All right, okay, really quick. Everybody look at the one up on the board. Everybody will do me a favor and look at the one on the board. Read the one on the board. Now, this isn't necessarily bad. However, this is referencing Doc 4. What is a problem that you might see in regards to Document 4 and what they wrote about? Yeah.
Political machines.
Political machines is the background, so I'm not as worried about that one. Think about Document 4. Maybe look at your chart of Document 4. Because they talk about recall here, but there's something wrong. Political machines is fine. It's background. Again, look at what you put in the terms. Maxim?
Bosses, you give people
Well, that's more political bosses as a whole. Okay, yeah. It is an issue with recall, but what's the issue with recall? All right, I think you guys are missing it. Look at the chart for document 4. Look at the term. What terms are in there? Thank you. Recall, initiative, and referendum. What's up on the board? Just recall. So because they did not fully reference all of the different options, recall, referendum, and initiative, they cannot get the points on this. You have to talk about all 3. So this is yours. You didn't do a bad job. You just forgot the other 2. So make sure you add it. And again, initiative, referendum, and recall, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of those items. Here in Utah, there's a law trying to be passed right now that would reduce initiatives in Utah so people could not suggest their own. There's a law right now in Utah trying to get rid of referendums in Utah because they don't want to reverse the legislation. And 3, if you don't know, last week the governor signed into law that no public employees can be part of unions anymore, basically. They can't collective bargain. And now they're trying to make it a referendum, which would put it on the ballot. California, if you don't know, has like 55 referendums every year that they vote on. So again, you have to include all 3. So this is yours. You were on the right track. You just forgot everything else. Okay. Not done, I can tell. 0 points. Okay. All right. So if you will go ahead and fix your problems. So fix your problems. Take a couple of minutes.
And then part C, we say, and then part C, we talk about how laws attack you. Part C is the part B is the so want to go back over here, Control Z. Okay.
All right, you should be almost done fixing your problems.
No.
Okay. All right, so the last thing that we need to add is F. Now on F, you are going to do a HIP analysis. We have already learned HIP analysis in the past. As a reminder, there are 4 letters for each document. You pick only a single letter. Now, you have to be really attentive of which letter you pick. Purpose and point of view are incredibly easy compared to the other options. Those are the most common ones that we see. Context, I have some people that are like, I have to do context. But if you've never gotten context on an LEQ, why would you go and do it on a HIP analysis? The I, intended audience, in my opinion, is the most difficult out of all of them. I would never choose I would choose one of the other options. Okay? Now, as a reminder, you pick one option to do. In order to do a HIP analysis, you are going to select documents, aka the one you're about to write on, to do a HIP. Now, there was a rubric change last year that skyrocketed most of the essay grades. So my current average on a DBQ is a 5.7 out of 7. Okay? Globally, it's about a 2 or a 3. Now, I mention this because last year when they changed the rubric, teachers in my department taught kids that the best way to get the unicorn point, the complexity point, was to use all 7 documents. That is nearly impossible in 45 minutes. So instead, they have a new point that if you hit 4 of the 5 documents, aka basically every document, you now get it. So if you're really good at HIP, you get 2 of the 7 points. So that's why HIP is so important. Remember that the first sentence is going to be what is the purpose, what is the point of view. The second sentence is, why do you know that? What does this document tell you that answers that question? all you're going to do is add it to the end. So this on the board is what you're going to submit to me. Your fully finished paragraph, all nice and neat, and your HIP analysis. I'm going to put this one back up on the board. Go ahead and work with your group.
Purpose was to get referendum discussed in the California Senate.
Prior to trust overly prior to trust overly influencing
By the 1910s.
Hey, why don't we do I? Yeah, do the intro.
Maybe it is.
Yeah, like to bring awareness to what social media is. If people know that this is happening, then not only will word spread about it, even like the people that don't know how to read will hear that this is and understand.
How long is it going to be?
2 sentences maximum usually. You don't really want to go too much over that.
Yeah, referendum, recall, viable in California.
Once you are done, go ahead and submit. You better hurry.
You better run, Seth. I've been doing all the work. Arm the people who touch themselves to that. For example, I already used that.
You have. You spent 19.
Give to the electoral the power of action that is at 20. Placing the will of the people.
Okay, we should be finishing up and submitting because we do have a few more things that we need to do today.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know. It just looks. It's just. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't think you guys did great. Sorry. I know.
Disparity of population. Disparity of the corruption.
Do we have somewhere for the
All right, we should be working on getting this submitted. Please submit, because we do have more stuff to do. All right, I'm going to evaluate. So the two groups that didn't send anything in, remember, it should be your full paragraph, your full paragraph. All right. Okay. The ultimate goal here is to receive 3 points. Point number 1, did you do the definition? Point number 2, did you do the explain? Point number 3, hip analysis. A perfect score will get a 3. So let's see what we got here. 3 points. Okay, so I want you to look at this one real quick. Just look at the length. Okay. And then look at this one. So again, 2 sentence minimum. Be expansive. But the other problem I have on this too, it says the purpose of document 4 is to show the change in voting in California and to reduce the power of political machines. Did this person create this speech to say, this is what a political machine is? A political machine is bad. We should get rid of them. No. Instead, they were arguing that their purpose is not to show. Don't ever say show. It is to argue that California needs to pass initiative, referendum, and recall to give more power to the people, and that this will benefit the people of California. That's the purpose. This is too big. So I'm going to give you 2 points. I would have, I think you need more terms up here, so I'm going to give you 1 point up there. You do get a 2nd point for hip, so 2 of the 3 points. 3 points. I feel like Women's Christian Temperance Union may not be enough, but you have 18. This is kind of borderline for me. It's not the best. I disagree with you talking about new unions. This isn't a working union. This is just a group of people. It's not the same thing. This is probably longer than needed, but does get the point. You probably eventually get 3 points. This is really long. Does get 3 points, but is super long. Make sure, by the way, that you put document whatever on it. It was really hard for me to eventually find your hip. You do get it, but make sure you add doc whatever at the end. I'm assuming I don't know what this is. I don't know if you're trying to do a hip analysis. I will say this. If I can't tell what this is, then you really got to fix it. I think you might be doing a hip. I don't know what it is. It kind of looks like both a hip. It kind of looks like an evidence. I don't know what this is. Fix it. If you notice the way everybody else is doing it, that's what I would do. So, again, his speech is not to give power. His speech is to convince the legislature to pass laws that would give power. It's not the same thing. Also, you need 2 sentences. Again, he's not speaking to the people. He's speaking to the legislature, convincing them to pass this law. That's his goal. His purpose is to pass the law and convince people to do so. I don't know what this is either. Okay. All right, so here's what you need to do. On your document, if you will press at the top left, File, make a copy. You're going to go ahead and do your own individual copy. Okay. Now, on your own copy, you can now put your name at the top because you're now an individual. Now, you are going to place the following on your document. I'm going to talk about it, so I'm going to have you write it, and then we're going to talk about it. But I want you to put your cursor in your own document right here, so right about here. And you are going to type down the following because this is going to help you to remind yourself what you need to do on this essay. So if you will go ahead and type this down, and then I'll start to talk about it. Oh, I just realized. You actually don't need this bottom part because we don't use Turnitin anymore. Turnitin did not like highlights. Yep, you're typing this down on your own paper.
That's all I think.
All right, so your DBQ is going to be completed on your own. You are going to need 5 documents, which you should already have in your thesis. Now, your 5 documents, you've already done about 2/5 of your essay right now, are the ones that are currently in your thesis. Now, some people will hit all of them. You just have to have a minimum of 4 because that will get you that second point. We're going to talk about outside evidence in just a second. Remember that this needs to look like a finished essay. So this should not be a bulleted list. This should not be A, B, C, D, E, etc. And on Canvas, which I'm going to show you in a second, I have multiple formatting guides that will help you to be able to get this correct. Now, you will notice, by the way, that this essay is not due until after universal deadline. It does go on the gradebook quarter 4, not quarter 3. Where are you seeing 5? You have to do 5 paragraphs, but only 4 documents have to have a hit. Most people just do all 5, but that's up to you. Now, on Canvas, there is an assignment, which I'm going to put this back up in just a second. There's an assignment called DBQ Progressive Era. There's a lot of stuff such as makeup work, etc. But here in general is what your essay will end up looking like. Now, each of the things has a highlight. And if you notice on your outline, these highlights are actually right here. So each time you ID a document, you highlight it here. Each time you do a hit, you highlight it in green. And this helps me to be able to know what you think you're doing, because a lot of times you don't actually know what you're doing, but you think you know what you're doing. So the highlights help me to know that. I have several documents right here. So I have common questions. So for example, if you're like, how many paragraphs do I need? How do I combine documents? So if you're saying I have 2 documents in the same paragraph, this is how you do it. You don't do 1 mega paragraph and then say parentheses doc 6 and 7. Instead, you separate them like this. Now, the one thing, though, that we are missing is the last point on the rubric. So again, context, thesis, first evidence, so do you describe things? First analysis, can you explain how it answers the question? 5 and 6 are going to be your hip, and your final is called outside evidence. If you will flip your packet to the chart on the back, flip your packet to the chart on the back. Now, this chart, I need you to go where it says outside evidence OE. Go find the section that says OE. There's a whole blank section on your chart. The first thing I want you to write down in this blank section is minimum of 2 in the full essay. So write down minimum of 2. Again, we're on our chart. We're on the only blank that's there. Minimum of 2 outside evidence. The reason why is because you have to have 1 outside evidence. So by having 2 outside evidence, you have a better likelihood of getting it. Okay, now make a comma. Next, you're going to write down minimum 2 sentences each. The rubric says an outside evidence cannot be a glancing reference. So if you notice on the board, both of these are grandfather clauses. So for example, some of you put Sherman Antitrust Act, which is a great outside evidence, but then you didn't do 2 sentences about Sherman, so you don't get outside evidence. That's a glancing reference. Secret ballot, however, the first group to do secret ballot, and then somebody stole secret ballot from them, had like 2 or 3 sentences about the secret ballot, and then you get the point. The last thing I want you to write down, so if you'll do one more comma, and if you will write down for me, can also be a brand new topic. So if you want, your outside evidence can be Sherman because it matches with document 2. But some people are like, well, we didn't talk about the jungle and we didn't talk about the Meat Inspection Act. If you want to do something completely on your own, you can, but most people do them in the documents. Now I'm going to put this up for one last time. The thing about DBQs is DBQs are a lot about playing around with them. You have to play around with them in order to make them work for you. So you have about 3-ish weeks. Play around with them. You can always, after I get back from my trip, meet with me. We have NHS tutoring. We have intervention time. DBQs are hard. It takes some practice, but then you'll be fantastic at it. Okay? All right. So